All right, let's get into this game. But first, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, is this 2024 Eagles team a likable one? 81% of you said yes. And I think compared to where we were this time last year, this team is much more likable. I don't know if they're quite to the 2017 and 2022 levels yet, but they're getting there. I mean, if you haven't done so, check it out. CJ Gardner Johnson singing to Cooper DeJean on the sideline. Those are the things that are pretty cool. Their celebrations and everything. I just really like this team. So thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. It's game day, so you know what today's question is going to be later in the show. Zach Bond was defensive NFC Defensive Player of the Week. He's just been playing lights out, and we're going to need him for tonight's game. Definitely him and Nakobe Dean. But let's check out the line: 3.5, and the over/under is 48.5, and that's a tough line. And I'll get into that when we get to the pick. But that hook is really giving me pause here. Don't want to give away what my pick is, but from an injury standpoint, does look like the Eagles are going to be relatively healthy. Jordan Mailata was brought off of the injured reserve. Looks like he's set to play. That should be a huge help for the offensive line. The guys that filled in for him did a phenomenal job. So it's good for them to get that experience, but it's nice to have old Jordan back tonight. For Washington, it looks like they're going to be relatively healthy too. I read or just heard this morning, looks like Brian Robinson Jr. will be back. And no Marshawn Lattimore. He's still banged up, hasn't played since Washington traded for him. It's a huge break for the Eagles. Now, let's get into the three keys. Key Bank, if you're listening, still looking for a sponsor, just throwing it out there. If you know somebody that has a car dealership that wants to sponsor the three keys to the game, tell them to hit me up. But I think first and foremost is the first meeting with Jayden Daniels. And I think you got to contain him. And it's going to be tough. But last week, Pittsburgh did a pretty good job keeping him in check from running. And they were able to come out and win the game. So, that falls right on Nakobe and Zach Bond. They need to make sure they're tackling. I think that's during this little 5-game winning streak. I shouldn't say little, but during this 5-game winning streak, that's been the difference. They've been tackling, wrapping up, no missed tackles. You're going to have to get him and not let him escape the tackles. And I think there's no reason to believe that they won't do that. But I think that is huge. It's just containing Jayden Daniels. I mean, he is probably the most mobile quarterback the Eagles have faced this year. So they're going to have their work cut out for him, but limit the damage that Jayden Daniels does with his legs, I think. And not that he's a bad passer, but I think force him to pass and let your secondary really get it. So I've been saying it all year. Do your job. If you have contain. If you're this gap, stay in your gap and do your job, and they should be okay with this. Key number 2, I think you got to take advantage of Washington's defense. Yes, they're not that good against the run, but their secondary is not good, which is why they had to go and trade for Marshawn Lattimore, who is not playing. Both starting corners ranked near the bottom on Pro Football Focus. So take advantage of that. AJ, Devontae need to have big games. AJ has been a Washington killer since he came in. Just has completely dominated them. I need to see that continue. I know we want to be a run-first team, and we should be able to establish the run early to set up the pass. But Jalen's due for a 300-yard passing game, and I think this is the game that he could very easily do that. And I think that plays the Eagles' strength right into the weakness of Washington. So you got to take advantage of that, build a lead, and then just pound it old school style with Saquon. This is the Jahan Dotson revenge game. I'd like to see him get more involved. He had that nice catch last week. I want to see him continue to build on this. But I think this winning streak has been built and backed by running the ball. I'm not saying don't run the ball. I'm saying take advantage because the opportunities are going to be there. And AJ, like I said, has killed Washington, so we need to make sure that he continues to do that. And by the same token, I should have mentioned this with the first key containing Jaden Daniels. I'm looking forward to seeing Quinyon Mitchell versus Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin has been an Eagles killer, so I'm really looking forward to that matchup. But I think from the Eagles standpoint, AJ and Devontae need to have big games and let Jahan get his revenge. They gave up on him, so I don't press and don't force, but let Jahan get involved in this game too. And our final key to the game, I think this is something that we saw some glimpses of last week. You just got to play smart and take care of the football. I'm not saying don't turn the ball over, because going 4 games in a row without a turnover, it's not going to happen all the time. But that fumble that he had last week, Jalen's sometimes known for having stupid turnovers. No stupid turnovers. You can't give these guys chances or any type of belief that they can win this game. No dumb penalties either. Just play smart football. And this game should be close. So I think those things are going to play a big role. Don't turn the ball over stupidly, and no dumb penalties. Just play smart. And it goes back to what I said on defense. Do your job. I think if the Eagles can do those things, they should win the game. Now, for the pick, it's going to be a convoluted pick here, and you'll see why in a minute. We're 5-4 on the year. Now, I think the Eagles win this game, but I mentioned that spread is 3.5, and that's tough. Even last year, both games against Washington were close. I think the Eagles won the first one in Philly by a field goal in overtime, and they got lucky to do that. And then I think in D.C., they won by 6 or 7. So this game will be close. I don't know if the Eagles win by 3.5. So for the official pick, I'm taking Washington plus the 3.5 and hoping that I'm wrong. I'm going to be actively rooting to lose this bet, but I do think there's some money to be made here. The over-under, like I said, is 48.5. I think that's low. I think both games last year both teams scored in the 30s in both games. I think both teams offensively are better than what we were last year. So, I think it's going to come down to which defense can make a play. But I see this game 31-28, 27-24, in that range. I think it's going to be a field goal game either way. So I like the over as a bet as well. But here's where you can make some money. I do think the Eagles win this game. I think it's going to be close. I wouldn't mind, and this is probably how I'm going to bet this game. Obviously, I'll do the official bet like I always do, just to keep it consistent and take Washington plus the 3.5. But I like a same game teaser, taking the Eagles, flipping that around to Eagles plus 2.5, and then teasing the over down, so it would be 42.5. I think the game flies over 42.5. So if you want to put some money on it, haven't been so good with the official picks, but some of the extra picks, I made some money on the A.J. Brown anytime touchdown and or I guess it was Devontae Smith, and then the Jalen Hurts the one game. So if you want to put a little extra action in. But the official pick, I'm taking Washington plus the 3.5. However, Eagles will win this game and have a 1.5 game lead, essentially a 2-game lead in the division. But it's not going to be easy. I was listening at the gym this morning. All the callers are calling in, talking 7 to 14 point Eagles win. I would love to see that. I just don't. I think Washington's a lot closer to being a good team than what we think. And I just don't. I don't see this being a blowout. And I expected Washington to be tough this year. I didn't expect it this soon. So this should be one hell of a game to watch. But those are our 3 keys to the game. That's the official pick. I do like the same game teaser with the Eagles and the over. I mean, if you want to get crazy and tie it in, I wouldn't mind if you want to do it the other way, tease Washington up to 9.5. I don't see this game being more than a touchdown either way. So there's some different plays for you. But that leads into the question of the day. Ultimately, Who do you got? Give me your predictions. 267-495-8531. That gets you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. Give your predictions, breakdown of the game. Want to talk Sixers? I don't know why you would, but if you want to talk Sixers, that's all fair game. But let me know your picks. 267-495-8531. All right.